All right, good morning, everyone. This is Molly with Prairie Systems, and today is our FAS Live for the month of December. We are going to be talking about all things related to med management, feed budgets, mixes, and med plans. So we've got a nice kind of a broad topic to talk about here today, but these items tend to be some of the things we get the most frequent questions about from both our new users and then our seasoned users as they have things that change about their strategies and how they want to use the FAS tools to execute them. So we're going to get started talking about executing nutrition with FAS. Today we're going to cover elements of a feed budget, rations versus mixes, what's the difference, feed grade medication management, and then at the end we're going to talk about managing ractopamine strategies with FAS. So what is a feed budget? In FAS, a feed budget is a set of instructions on how rations should be fed to a group of animals. Additionally, a feed budget also provides information on the expected performance to be achieved by feeding a ration. Here's an example of a feed budget out of our demo system. And this might be a little hard to read depending on what device you're looking at, but just high level, for each ration in a feed budget, the feed budget defines what type of animal that ration is intended to be fed to, the name or the ID of the ration, what the desired weight of the animal will be when it has completed feeding that ration, the pounds per head to be fed to achieve that desired weight, and then from that point over to the right here, this is the expected performance. So the number of days that it should take an animal to eat that amount of feed, the pounds of feed daily for the intake, that's equivalent in a lot of our industry terms to ADFI, average daily feed intake. The expected average daily gain for that particular ration and the expected feed conversion, as well as what type of diet this is considered to be. So what this does is this sets the how-to on the left side. This is what we're going to do with these rations. And on the right side, this is what we expect to have as a result from doing that. Rations versus mixes. This is a question we get a lot of the time. So a ration is a name used to refer to a specific nutrient profile used in the feed program. So Finisher 1, for example, is the name of a ration that has a specific crude protein, lysine content, nutrient profile. The mix record for a ration is that formulation or recipe that contains the list of the ingredients and the quantities of each ingredient that are used to achieve that desired nutrient. All right, I just got a message from some of you guys that says they're not seeing my screens. Is everybody seeing my screens?
No.
No, you're on the first screen.
Well, hey, let's just back that up then.
Yeah.
All right.
We got to what is a feed budget.
And then it slowed down, huh? So what is a feed budget? So my next screen here, after what is a feed budget, is an example of a budget. Has that changed for anybody? Is anybody seeing the feed budget example?
I'm not.
Seeing it.
No, Molly, it's still on your first slide.
I wonder what is going on with my WebEx here. So I apologize. Technical difficulties, guys. Isn't that the way, right? All right, I'm going to actually stop sharing my screen for just a second. And then I'm going to reshare my screen and see if that helps resolve our issue.
Yay.
Okay.
Yep.
Everybody see our feed budget example now?
Yes.
All
Yes.
right. Thank you for letting me know that, and always feel free to speak up if I'm talking about something and you're not seeing it. So I'm going to go back to this feed budget example then, now that you're seeing the graphic that I have, and re-describe this to you. So again, I'll come back here to describe that a feed budget is a listing of how those rations are going to be executed and the expected results of executing on those rations for the group of animals. So again, this text here is determining what kind of pig, what kind of animal this ration is intended to be fed to. So if you have barrow diets, gilt diets, sow diets, in this case, in this example, these are diets that are designed to be fed to a mixed sex group of animals. We have the name of each ration, and then we have the weight field, which is the weight that is desired to be achieved at the end of feeding that ration. And then we have the pounds. The pounds is the amount of that ration to be fed to each animal to get them to that desired weight. On the right side, as I stated before, is then the expected performance related. How many days should it take the animals to eat that amount of feed? What is that expected daily intake value? What is the expected average daily gain and feed conversion? And then specifically, what type of ration is this by category, nursery, finisher? You'll see lactation, gestation, depending on the type of feed plan this is. All right. Everybody good with me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes. All right. I'm going to switch to the next slide and let's see how that works. Are you seeing the next slide, rations versus mixes?
Yeah, I see it.
Yes.
Wonderful. Hey, all right. Okay, so rations versus mixes. What is a ration and what is a mix record? So a ration in FAS is the identification or the name used to refer to a specific nutrient profile in the feed program. Example, finisher 1. The mix record that goes along with that ration is that formulation or that recipe, that listing of ingredients and the quantities of each ingredient needed to be included in the mixture to achieve the desired nutrient profile in the end result. So here's an example of a mix record for an F1 ration in this particular example. As you can see, you can have multiple mix records for a specific ration. Specifically, most commonly in our industry, we will at least have a specific formula or mix record for each individual feed mill because of the ingredients that those mills stock in their inventory. Every mill has a little bit different variation of the ingredients that they stock in their inventory typically. So typically each feed mill is going to have its own recipe or its own mix record. In this case, this mix record example is a mix record for the mill, Molly's Test Mill. My test mill does a lot of feed. And you can see what the ingredient makeup is of that particular ration for that particular mill. You can also see that we have other restrictions fields available to be used. So you can actually have a separate mix for the same ration for each owner. You can have a specific mix that is specific to one specific farm, or even a mix that is specific to one specific group of animals. In most cases, the application for that a lot of times is a feed trial situation where you want to feed one specific group a certain formulation for a diet and another specific group a certain formulation for a trial scenario. That's usually when I see that. But mill is definitely our most frequently used restriction for a mix because of that different ingredient stocking scenario at each mill. And then also sometimes branch. If you have a company, a milling company, that has multiple milling locations. They are the same company, but they have separate locations, and each of those locations could have a different inventory of ingredients, so you could have a branch-specific formulation as well, i.e. mix record. So what does having a mix record separate from the ration do for our customers? You can utilize a ration over and over in multiple feed programs and then have your specific formulations that need to correspond to that particular manufacturing situation recorded as a mix. So in this example, again, we have the ration of F1, but we have a mix for Molly's test mill here. We have a second mix for Molly's test mill. We have a mix for the feed mill ABC. We have a mix for another mill, ABC mill. So we can have multiple scenarios, multiple mixes, formulas stored underneath that one ration. FAS, when you place a feed order, uses all of the information about that order to know which mix record to use. Feed grade medication management. Med plans are what we call plans that are used to implement feed grade medication protocols based on a set of implementation rules or options that we call validations. These are terms that you'll hear or see a lot in FAS. Med plans are implemented under the Manage Meds page for a group, and they can be created on the fly or can be implemented based on a predefined med plan template. Here's an example of a med plan for a particular group for some feed grade medications. And you can see that we have variations in our validation type in this plan. So in this plan, we have Aureomycin 100 at a 400 gram level that is going to be executed using the ration validation with the parameter of N4. What that means is every time the feed order calls for the ration N4, FAS is going to prompt the user who is creating the order to include 400 grams of Aureomycin on that order. We have the same example here for F1 and N4 with Denogard. So these are where we have, in both of these cases, we have 2 drugs listed for N4 and 2 drugs listed for F1. That's your Denogard CTC protocol. They are individual drugs, so each one needs to be listed in the med plan to say how it's going to be utilized. Another validation method is days to feed. We also have budget weight and budget age. So days to feed is the days in the barn. And in this case, we have a plan that between day 145 and 153 in the barn for the animal, we're going to execute 50 grams of Albac 50. On the next line down, we have an application by budget weight. So when the group is at a ration in the budget that is between 95 and 125 pounds, this med plan is going to execute the inclusion of 10 grams of Stayfac 20. And the last example we have here is by budget age. You can see at the top of the screen that we have some information here about this particular group. This is the group's current statistics. They are 15 days on feed. Age is estimated to be 24 days. Currently at a weight break of 50.35 pounds, and they're currently on ration N4. So what's the difference between days on feed and age? Days on feed is days in the barn, days since placement. Age is FAS's estimate of how many days since weaning this group is based on what it knows from the feed plan. So that's the difference in how days on feed and budget age can be utilized to execute different med protocols based on timing within the barn versus a specific age of animal. As I stated before, Med plans can be created for a particular group in the Manage Meds page on the fly. As you know about a new med protocol that needs to happen, that can be added to the group. But you can also predefine some medication protocols under Edit Med Plans. And those predefined plans can then be applied to the group through the import of a med plan. So instead of having to add each individual medication to that group med plan one by one, you can import a med plan and select one of your predefined plans. Those predefined plans are a great way if you have a consistent med strategy for your feed grade meds or even some of your injectables and water solubles for tracking those things as well. But if you have a consistent plan that every time, for every group, our plan is this, predefining that med plan and importing the predefined med plan is very useful for applying that and then just managing the exceptions to that as things happen with the group through their production cycle. Ractopamine management. That's the last topic I have on our topic today, but I feel that it is probably going to be one that we have a little bit more discussion on here toward the end. We get a lot of questions about ractopamine management. While not actually classified as a medication in our industry, we are inclined to track ractopamine usage similar to feed-grade medications. We have ractopamine-free mills, we have ractopamine-free flows, we have ractopamine-free packing lines. Due to the high cost of ractopamine products, timing and the use of these products is very important to our producers. Use of a specific ractopamine ration in the feed budget in combination with managing the inclusion of ractopamine through the use of defined protocols in the med plan helps to execute ractopamine at the right time and for the right duration. And I'm going to give you an example. This is an example of a feed budget and a med plan that work together to implement a 4.5 gram Paline protocol. This is what we see a lot of times. You can have, it all depends on your operation and what your ractopamine protocol is. In this particular scenario, this user has a Paline ration at the end of their budget, and it has 1 day's worth of feed. 1 day here. It's only 6.35 pounds of feed. What that is doing is that is just making that ration available to the group as a part of the budget. But if this group never goes to Paline, they'll finish out, in this example, on this F8 diet. But when someone tells the feed desk, based on marketing, based on timing, based on whatever rules your business operation has for your timing of Paline, then the feed desk can move the group to the Paline diet. And when they do that through the recalculation of the allocation sheet, and I'm not going to get into the full detail of recalculating an allocation sheet, but when they make that switch in the allocation sheet for the group to move them to the Paline diet, this line from the med plan will then kick in, because it says when we feed that F9 Paline ration, we're going to feed 4.5 grams of Paline. So that's how, in combination, the feed budget and the med plan can help execute on a Paline protocol. Sometimes we also see what they call step-up Paline, where you're going from 4.5 gram to 6.75 to 9 gram, or maybe it's only got 2 steps, or step down where they come in with a 9 gram and then finish up with a 4.5 gram. And so through the use of a single Paline ration, because every time we feed Paline, there is a specific set of nutrient requirements for that diet, we can put our various protocols of which gram level we're going to feed through the med plan. So it streamlines that implementation instead of having to have separate rations and formulations for every phase of ractopamine that we want to implement. Every situation is different. Every producer has a different protocol for implementing Paline. We've seen quite a few different ones, and I would definitely love to hear some examples and some questions from our users on this call of different ractopamine protocols that you're managing and having to manage, and how you are managing that with FAS, or if you need some further ideas on how you might be able to do that. That is our topics for discussion today. That we're now open for questions and discussion, especially specifically on that ractopamine, as I said. But any questions about the topics that we discussed today for feed budgets, rations versus mixes, med plans, and then specifically ractopamine? Who in our group that's on our call today is feeding a ractopamine product at the end of their feed program? Paline and gain.
I guess yeah, we are.
Okay. And what's kind of your protocol, Regina? What is your program as far as, are you doing a one-time 1 gram level? Do you have a step-up protocol?
The mill there's a mill that's not through us, but I manage, I do it through them. They have a, one-time step-up protocol type thing. And then the other one, it's just a normal Paline at the end where we put it in the budget. It's all fed by budget related. So that really is not what you're talking about, you know what I mean, as far as a date related budget. But the other mill that we don't deal with, Molly, but I deal with them. Does that make sense? We're not in charge of the pigs. But yeah. So
you've got one protocol that it's just a basic part of the budget.
Right.
After you feed so much of all the other diets, you're just going to start feeding this Paline diet at the end.
Correct.
And then you have another one that you're managing the order processes that is more of a timing step up.
Yes, more of a timing step-up program, And it's really kind of based on when they decide they want to. So I just got to keep managing in it, and I don't know if there's a better way or not. I just, kind of watch it myself. I don't really, I've not noticed it to be a certain step-up program when they got a certain level, Of course, I don't see a lot of the information, too. That could be it. Maybe it is a certain weight. Maybe it is a certain something that I'm not seeing, on my end because we don't, do them. But, yeah.
So how are they communicating that to you, Regina?
Just through an email or a call or something is how they're doing it. Hey, the group is blah, blah, blah. On this day, you need to do it. And that's how I do it.
Gotcha. And how far in advance do you typically get that kind of information?
Sometimes a week, sometimes less. Just depends. Yeah. But, I mean, it's not difficult at all in FAS to get that in there, you know what I mean? It's in there, so I have it set up. I'm ready to be implemented. Just got to tell it to.
So tell me, describe that for me. What do you mean by you have it set up and ready to be implemented?
Well, it's like I have it set up like in a budget type form. I just don't use it yet. I don't, and then, like you have it in I just don't use it in my med plan at the time, so I don't feed it when I shouldn't. And then when they tell me, I just add it in my med plan. That's how I do it. But I don't know if that's the right way, Molly, but that's how that was the only way. Because otherwise, I'm not here all the time, If my backup does it, I didn't want to have to, worry about that happening.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Regina, there's not a wrong way. If it's working for you, it's the right way.
Okay,
One tip I would have for you is if you are manually adding that Paline to the group med plan, you could do that well in advance. If you know that that's part of, your protocol for a particular flow, you just don't know when, it can be added. And this alert toggle, and this is good for everyone to know, this alert toggle basically is enable or disable. So you can have an item in your med plan, and you can have this alert turned off. And so what that does is it sets it up, it's in the med plan for the group, but it's not going to execute until the alert is toggled on.
Awesome.
So you could make that a part of a
That's
predefined
perfect.
protocol and just have it turned off until you're ready to execute based on that communication that you're getting.
Yeah, great. Okay, thank you.
So hopefully that will help you, especially if you're going to be gone.
Yeah, that helps me, yeah, the most.
All that backup person needs to do is go in there and toggle that med plan line on, toggle the alert on, and then it will start populating into the feed orders.
Yeah, thank you.
You bet. Who else out there has some ractopamine programs going on?
I know Tyson does, but like I said, I just literally started in this position, so I have no idea what's going on with all of that yet.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I think Regina can probably give you a little insight on that, Mandy.
Yeah, yeah. I do a lot of that.
You bet. Matt and Mark, in your scenario, do you guys have some producers who are feeding ractopamine or Paline where you are having to time that use of Paline diets and that inclusion based on a communication process?
The right answer is yes. This is Mark. We just started this in early October, still learning, and today most of ours are just traditional people. We're just managing it for them, but this is excellent training, and we have to get the budgets in there. We have to lock out the alert and open it or close it, depending on where you're at in that budget, and then it'll kind of take care of itself. And then, of course, a lot of the people we manufacture and bill feed and haul feed for, they have the FAS system on their own. So
right. So they're doing that already on their behalf with their own FAS system. But yeah, so hopefully this helps with some of those producers that you are tracking their feed plan for them, and helps give you some insight on how you can execute on that with your setup to make that a little bit easier and a little bit less of a memory item.
Yeah, and I do like, in general, the medication plan, because like Matt and I talked, we've had growers in the past want us to help them manage it, don't want us to. Sometimes they want to, sometimes they don't. And pig owners, where now we'll have a tool to help assist them.
Great, yeah. Great feedback. Todd, Dale, are you using med plans at all?
No, we've done it in the past, but right now we're not consistent, so we just go ahead and add it. We were just talking about it. We didn't realize you could turn the alert off, so we may start using it again.
All right. Well, if you need if you want to review your protocols and your setup, you just reach out to support, and we can go through that with you to see if we can help give you some insight on maybe how to execute on, what you do have going on. That's what's interesting and unique, I find, is the various operations. It's just different from operation to operation, how they execute on med protocols, the timing of it. Some have consistent strategies that we're going to do this every single time and we're never going to vary. Some have, we're only going to utilize meds as the opportunity arises. So I love that this is flexible enough for you to do it both ways.
Yeah.
Jan, how about you guys? How much are you guys utilizing med plans, and are you managing ractopamine strategies through that?
Yes, and yes. We use the med plan all the time with different budgets and different owners and different customers and stuff. Yeah, and I have used the toggle button a lot, especially if we've got a plan, if we're going to use it for a certain time and then shut it off, but have it available if we need to use it again. I'll leave it in there. So when we manage the ractopamine, it's based on either the first sale or when the group is going to refill. Kind of depends on the weight of the pig after that first sale, if we want to start the ractopamine or not. And in our case, we have to switch mills because the mill that we feed the first few rations from is ractopamine free. So when we do that, budget is in there, and the med plan is in there, and we just have to make sure that we get it attached to the correct ration after we recalculate the budget. Well, yeah, we use it all the time, and it's great.
Good. I'm not going to pick on you anymore, Jan. You sound like you.
Thank you.
Save your voice. All right. Anyone else have any specific questions about the budget, rations, mixes, med plans?
No,
Okay.
I don't have any.
Well, thank you, everyone. Thanks for your participation and your time. I hope you all have a very wonderful holiday season. I know it's always fun in our industry this time of year to just get through the holidays and try to find ways to enjoy them. So I hope every one of you has the opportunity to find some time to enjoy yourselves through this holiday season. And we will talk to you next month at our user conference.
Thank you. And you too, Molly.
Thanks, Molly.
Thank you.